myself.
Okay.
I'll be as fast as possible. Taoiseach, I want to ask you about our troops serving in South Lebanon, and has there been a decision to delay their return? If so, why? Is it absolutely necessary? And what arrangements have been put in place, for their families at home? Some of them in frontline services, their partners or spouses, and they now cannot go into work because they're respecting their partner's home. And any arrangements for that? It's very, very worrying. They give us great service and they should be supported. I want to ask you also, Taoiseach, about business people in a number in my county who are offering help at this time. They're offering their expertise and services. Now, I can't say which or whether. One of them is actually offering robotic services. The pain is happening in other parts of Europe and all over the world. And look, is there a fast enough turnaround with the people in charge in the departments to deal with these kind of offers, whether they are fanciful or indeed whether they are worthwhile and should be accepted? And also to ask you, Taoiseach, regarding the ports and airports. I had a man phone me from Deputy Butler's constituency actually the other morning that his which often happens to both of us, we're neighbours. His sister-in-law died in England. He wasn't going to go, but he got on the line and could go on the ferry or could get a flight if he wanted to. Are our airports closed or empty? I know we have to repatriate our people abroad, and some of them, and thank you for engagement, some students and all that are abroad in New Zealand and elsewhere, and people want help in frontline service to come home. But look, it's business as usual for some airports and ports. It's just not acceptable. Thank you.
Deputy McGrath speaks quicker than I can write, but I think I managed to jot down most of your questions. Just in relation to Lebanon, given the unprecedented nature of the COVID-19 crisis, in order to mitigate its transmission, the UN Secretary-General in recent days advised all troop contributors and mission commanders of his plans to suspend all rotations and leave for military personnel serving in UN missions until the 30th of June. The direction will impact over 100,000 UN uniformed personnel from over 120 countries serving worldwide. The moratorium on upcoming rotations and leave is designed to ensure the continued operations of essential peacekeeping missions, to protect vulnerable populations in conflict zones, and to maintain international peace and security. It's also designed to ensure the health and well-being of personnel deployed on UN operations by limiting movement of personnel into mission areas. This is a decision that affects all contingents from all countries and all missions. The main impact for our defence forces will be on deployments to MINUSMA in Mali, where personnel are due to rotate later this month, and UNIFIL in Lebanon, where personnel are due to rotate in 2 rotations in May on the 12th and the 19th. The Defence Forces contingent in UNDOF in Syria rotated on the 4th of April and are unaffected by the recent announcement. The UN Secretary-General advised that limited exceptions may be considered in extremis where they're required for the continuation of the delivery on the mission mandate, and on the basis of strict conditions being applied to prevent the spread of the virus. Decisions on any exception will be taken in UN headquarters in New York, following a proposal from the Force Commander. The Department of Defence and Defence Forces have been examining the impact of the UN decision on the Defence Forces personnel currently serving with UN missions and the impact it may have on future deployments, so as to advise personnel and families accordingly. Personnel deployed overseas have been briefed by the commanders in the mission area, and there is ongoing engagement with the mission and with the mission commanders to ensure that rotations can take place as close as possible to the original planned dates and in accordance with the direction of the UN Secretary-General. Ireland will continue to meet its commitments to the UN and other multilateral peacekeeping organisations in support of international peace and security through this challenging period. Our aim is to maintain the integrity and operational capability of our overseas contingents in discharging their mandates. Protecting health and welfare of our personnel remains a priority consideration throughout. In terms of companies offering to help, offering to make things for us, everything from PPE to ventilators, all that is very welcome. I'm inundated with them. I imagine you're inundated with them too, and it's very hard to know whether this is an offer to do something as a donation, for cost, for profit, and then of course there are different rules applying if it's for profit or for not. And it's very hard to know whether the companies offering to do these things are able to deliver what they're promising, or if they even know themselves whether they're able to deliver what they're promising. But for that reason, a mechanism has been set up and a website has set up through which we're inviting companies to make their offer, make their pitch, and then Science Foundation Ireland and other agencies will assess as to whether those companies are capable of fulfilling the offer that they're making. And I have to extend my thanks to those agencies now that have taken on such a new role. IDA, which was established to get foreign direct investment into Ireland, is now spending a huge amount of its time procuring equipment from multinationals to get that into Ireland, and Science Foundation Ireland is very much taken on this role of assessing offers from companies. In relation to the airports and ports, we're not going to close them. We need them to stay open. They're bringing in medicines, PPE, essential supplies, and with those essential supplies, our pilots and cabin crews and hauliers and all those people have to be allowed in and out of the country through our airports and ports. In relation to passengers who are not involved in supply, the number of passengers going through our airports and ports has gone down considerably. Some of the airports are closed altogether. In Dublin, just to take one day, for example, last week, the number of passengers going through was down by 99%. About 200 and something went through. They were almost all Irish citizens returning home, Irish residents returning home. A small number of people in transit to another country or in transit to Northern Ireland. And I confirmed this morning at the Cabinet Subcommittee that they are all interviewed and they are all advised to self-restrict and restrict their movements for 14 days after arrival.